This is exciting as I'm seeing all these sweaters, and ganseys, and to see everyone wearing them. And I know some people have been in progress for a while, and to get to see the finished one, it actually breaks me up inside because to see so many people have followed through with this idea and have made it their own, it's just really special. So what we're going to do now is we have a few different components of the Cordova Gansey Project. And inspired by the trip to Shetland and being on the boat that day with Stella, the idea started as just a little spark of an idea. Then it came with having Beth come get us started. And some people came. There was a group of 20 from the original group that started a sweater and had to go through the whole process with Beth. And some of you are just getting ready to begin this. I think there's 15 or 16 people that are starting the Gansey track where they're taking all 3 classes. This comes starting tomorrow. So they're just beginning this Gansey journey in it. Someone said in England, we have people through Facebook and Instagram that have joined from all over the world. And one woman said, I just completed my knitting thesis. And it was, I felt that was really appropriate way to describe it, because once you get in it, it's an investment of time, and also a part of you really becomes involved as you really take time to personalize it, and it just takes a while to knit too. Although when they say they knit them in a week, I'm just like, oh, I'll be lucky to get it done in, the amount of time that I've gotten each of them done. So anyway, that was the beginning component. We had a first group, and then we had Bon Marie Burns come, and she did a contemporary version, and I approached her about maybe doing something on a contemporary level, and she designed the Fisher Lassie sweater. And the Fisher Lassie sweater was like taking the Gansey upside down and around. The regular Gansey is a pullover. She made it a cardigan. The regular Gansey is knit from the bottom up. She had you knitting from the top down. The regular Gansey was more often, there were ones that were knit for women, but for the most part, they were knit for men, and this was designed for a woman's body. So there was a lot of things that were taking the whole Gansey idea and flipping it all around. But one thing she did do was integrate motifs into it that had meaning and connected to Cordova, the ideas of trees and the ropes of friendship. There was a lot of things that she was inspired by from the year before when she had been, or the 2 years before when she had been an instructor for Fiber and Friends. So we have a group of people that started way back then, and then we've had people all along that have been working on Fisher Lassies, and it's been great because some people who started a little bit ago really made a push to finish for tonight. So it's really exciting to see how many finished Fisher Lassies, and some that have started more recently and are works in. You'll get to see the work in progress. So what I'd like to do is I have some cards here of people that have done the Fisher Lassie that were, some of them were with the original group. So if you have a Fisher Lassie and you started your Fisher Lassie in, I think it must have been, would be 2016. No, it's 2015, then we had Fisher Lassie. So 2015, if you started in 2015 when the pattern was designed for us, come on up and we'll introduce your Fisher Lassie sweater. Okay, anybody that started in the original group? Okay, there's Jane. Jane was one of the first people that completed it, and come on up. And so she used 14 skeins of Joe Sharp yarn for hers, and one of the things that she found with Bon Marie, she had taken the pick up and knit, and it really pushed her in a lot of about this sweater has a lot to do with picking up. And I remember the first time when she came in and she stood in the shop and I looked at it and I thought about how an idea of even just the whole Gansey thing and to see it manifested this way in an actual item, it just really struck me how an idea can come to life and then it comes out in a sweater and now she wears it. And so this is...
And it's all because of Dottie.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to ask everyone who did the Fisher Lassie, stay here. We're going to have them all stay. But we're going to do, Bon Marie had been healing and has had some health issues, and I invited her to come, just to come see all these Fisher Lassies, but she was unable to come. So we're going to have Matthew take a really nice shot. So we're going to just let everyone stand, and then we're going to get a great group shot of everybody. So thank you. So then from then on, so just think, did anybody, let me just think, how many years, was there anybody from 2016, because she taught it again, I think, at the Fiber and Friends. Did anybody do the Fisher Lassie class at the Fiber and Friends, the last FisherFolk? Anybody do it here? Okay, come on down with your Fisher Lassies. Come on down. Okay, so here we go. We have May, and she also used, 13 balls of yarn for hers. She felt that the lesson she would pass on is measure your favorite sweater for size. And it took 1.5 years, but she finished it. And so here's May.
Where am I?
I know it's kind of dark. You have to kind of go to the back. Yeah, come this way. Let's see. Or that way. No, that way. It's over that way. Yeah, that way. Okay, go on up. So here's May with her Fisher Lassie. Yay! It's so exciting when these get finished. This sweater is like doing an origami piece because there's parts you just get total lost. You do one part, then she has you flip around here. So that's that. Okay, just stand right here. Okay, we have Amber Wasson, and her color was Embers in Joe Sharp, and she used vintage amber buttons, and she used 12 to 14 skeins. She said the lesson that she passed on was there was interesting construction methods in this class, in this pattern, and this took her 2 years, and she completed it just recently. So go stand right over there. And turn around. And she did the collar one time, and she didn't like how it came out, so she redid the collar again. So
I messed up the first time.
well, it's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so we have Amber and Denise here. Come on. Yeah, or you guys go this way. Yeah, go stand over that way after you're done. That would be good. Okay. Okay, Denise, there's Denise's, and she followed the pattern. It said, one thing she said, she was a tight knitter, and any other comments about that? What do you mean by that? Just that it came out?
I used the same pattern as everybody else, and it came out 3 inches smaller because I'm a tight knitter. So
Okay.
I should add more inches next time.
Keep your gauge, check your gauge. It looks really beautiful. And it took her 2 years also. They were having this neck and neck thing going here of who is.
My granddaughter says, Grandma, you need to stop knitting. She calls it mitting because Mommy wants to win.
So there they are. They both just completed recently. I don't know who the winner was, but I know they were going neck and neck. Okay, and so we have Eva here. Eva, did you fill out a thing? Oh, here it is right here. Sorry. And so she did this. It took her 13 skeins, and she said her one lesson to pass on is to ask Frances for help when you need it to and keep going. It took her 3 years to complete, and she kept going. I'm so glad she didn't give up. And yes, Frances is our Monday and Wednesday night knit night consultant and helper, and she does help people keep going and coaches them through certain parts of it. So thank you, Frances, because you're part of this. Okay, so Frances, did you fill out a form for me? Okay, so now we have, just 1 second. We have, I'm trying to find, sorry, I thought I sorted these. Well, here, just 1 moment. There we go. Well, that's Kathy. Jackie, I couldn't see you in the dark, sorry. Okay, there we go, it's Jackie. And she said the lesson that she would pass on is to count your stitches. So why do you say that?
Your the markers and knowing your stitches so you don't get too far and then.
Putting markers on your, and it's really helpful to put markers for her on those decreases and things like that and keep markings on there. This was her first sweater, so yay, Jackie. Oh, you have Ann. Okay, so we have, this is Susan, and Ann was here, and she took the Fisher Lassie class with Bon Marie in 2016, and so she's representing Ann, and so,
Who would have been here, she told me that if I can come to this, I must come, even though she knew when the dates came out that they conflicted with a trip that she could not change. So I tried to get a hold of her, I couldn't, so I don't have any more details on this other than if you can come to this, you must come every day.
so Susan and her sister Ann are from California, and she's come all the way to our event, and that's great. So thank you for bringing Ann's sweater. At least her sweater made it. So okay, thank you. Okay. So we have Frances, who, this is a works in process here, and she has taken and done something different with the Fisher Lassie, and you can see she's in progress here. She has used frangipani instead of the Joe Sharp yarn, and it's a lighter weight, but it's really interesting how it's coming out. And so, can you turn around so you can see where she is? She's come. Yes, she has to go in the coat. There. But it's not been blocked, and it'll be really nice when it's all finished blocking. But it has a really nice feel to it with the frangipani yarn. It's been really interesting. So she's got the Cordova color on. So good job, Frances. Okay. And so one of the cohorts here on with Frances is what were you going to call this? Fisher? Yeah, the Fisher Lassie shrug here. And Lila has just worked so diligently. You just see her just stitching away, and she is going to keep going on, and it's going to be fun to see her with her finished. But this is sort of what it looks like for a while you're you've got this beginning part before you move on and do different parts. But anyway, so this is all of our Fisher Lassies that we could get together for tonight. And so, Matthew, could you get a good shot of everybody? Oh, there's one more. Anya. Oh, yeah. You know what? Ann Rudolph. Sorry, just a minute. Anya, gosh. Did I have you fill out a thing? There's another one. Look at that. I didn't see your card. Oh, I was thinking that was a Gansey that you did, so you did that. Okay, come on up. When I looked at the yarn. Okay, great. Okay, Anya. Another works in progress here is Anya. And were you in Bon Marie's class? I was in the first one. Okay, isn't this awesome that she's still working on it and she hasn't given it up? And so she's also just happened to have 2 children in between. She was pregnant when she took the first class, and that was in 2015. Yep. And so, can you try it on at all yet? See if it'll. Oh, she's got it tied up. It's okay. You can just hold it up there. So, anyways, it's getting close, and so. Oh, yeah. There we go. Yay! She is really close. That's really great. Okay, Kathy. And she said she knit it for herself in honor of her brother, and it was knit with strick yarn. And her lesson that she would pass on was, do not knit the top of the button band loosely. And it took her about 8 to 9 months to complete. And if you want to move over just a little bit, squish together a little bit so that, Matt, can we get a good picture? Okay. So, and it's been a real interesting, it has some challenging parts of it. Did you knit one of those too? Do you have it with you? Oh, Gail knit one too. Hannah did it. Oh, Hannah has the one. Yes. Anyway, Round of applause. We're going to do time. Last year, I had a lot of comments that people want to be able to look closely at them. So afterwards, if you're able to stay, we're just a slight little quote. And I had a card made up of it for this year, and it's because I'm working on my second Gansey right now, and sometimes it feels like there's many stitches, and I'm not around yet. I've only been around once, and it's like, and I love that I'm putting lots of love into it, but sometimes those rounds, especially on the body and things, down here, it's just like you think that, okay, I'm going to get an inch done tonight. I'm really going to do it, like 3 rounds, so it takes a little bit of time to get through that. But anyway, so the phrase that I came up with was, many stitches, so much love. So as many stitches are, there's so much more love put into them. So that was that. And then this other card was, one, and I've seen this phrase before, is all you knit is love. And we've done this with these Ganseys on there because it's really a very, I think about the one that Beth made for me. I look at that and I know there's many stitches and so much love. And I really appreciate, again, the one that she made that's the Cordova Gansey that I get to wear. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at some of the people that have made Ganseys and completed them, and then we'll talk about works in progress, and we'll try to get all of these up here. So I'm going to start with Caitlin, and you can come up, both of you. And so Caitlin knitted for Rob, her partner, and Stella Rue pattern from Rob's mother's area in Holland. So I thought that was a really meaningful thing. And the closest pattern to Bedouin in Groningen? Groningen. So that's beautiful. And she used hers was 288 stitches. I wanted to know, how many stitches did you have around yours? So that was 288 stitches. She used 1 big cone and 1 smaller cone, and her lesson she would pass on would be, you can do it. And I think it's fantastic. So if you could just stand over to the side, that would be great. Thank you very much. Yes? She said that Brodian? Groningen. Oh, say that again? Okay.
So his mom's maiden name is Van Kampen, so I thought it was just a little extra.
Yeah, that's wonderful to have that heritage in there. And several people have said they have Dutch heritage and they've wanted to incorporate that. So well done. Boy, Caitlin, good job. So the next one I'm going to do is Amber. Do you have yours there? And you can, if you want to come, Denise too, why don't you both come down? The mother-daughter knitters. And so Amber did hers in a beautiful, soft lemon color. And she knit it for herself. And we're going to get her up here. And Denise, who has your sweater on? I think Clay. Okay, come on up. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so you can look at this, and on hers she has the motifs that she inserted were a halibut because her husband is a longliner with her dad. She grew up commercial fishing, but now that I have kids, you will find me foraging on land in my sweater. And she used 1.5 cones to finish hers. She was a beginner when she started this project, and she says, and now I have the confidence to take on anything. Her advice to you is just keep swimming, as Dory would say. And it took her 2 years to complete. Great job. And so for those that completed it, I'd like you to come by the shop in the next few days, and we have something for you there. And we'll have the tag that goes in the back. Okay, and so we have Denise here. And this is one that she did. It's modeled by Clay. It was knit for Tom Branshaw, and he's captain of the Northern Mariner. And the Cordova fish motif and the netting were the special motifs that she put in. Did a chest size of 44. She used 2 1/4 cones. And one lesson she would pass on would be that she would start the neck shaping lower in the garment. And it took her 11 months to complete. And you had a couple things also. I'm just going to have Denise, there was a couple features. Clay, just stay for 1 second, because there's a couple things that you added particularly for Tom in this piece.
Well, you know, he's fishing right now, of course. He's at sea a lot. He's a third-generation commercial fisher. We have a tender longliner. He packs herring and salmon, too. But I put the Cordova motif hidden in the sweater in 2 spots. I put him under both arms, and he said, well, maybe that's a sign I'll be buried in fish up to my armpits. I didn't know that.
That is so great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what's fun about these sweaters. You can put in hidden things. I have some hidden things in the one I'm making. He keeps going, it's this. Could it be this? So you'll see. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then we have, and I'm going to need Michael and Nathan to come pretty soon. But I have Marie Trueblood that's here, and Marie. And she was here last time, too. She was part of the original group that started in 2015 that had the 4 days of Beth. And she said that she knit it for herself. She had, and I'll let her get on stage before I talk about her motifs.
Sorry to find my way through the curtains.
Okay, so we have 4 generations of Alaskan women to be handed down to daughter and granddaughter. So she has 4 braid cables on hers, and so show her those braid cables. 1,
With 4 strands in each one, and then right here is also 4-strand cable.
and then she has 4 trees of life in hers as well. So that's the 4 generations of Alaska women that's represented in her sweater. And she used 2 cones, and her lesson to pass on would be do lots of swatches, less to rip out if it doesn't look good. And and it took her 1 year to complete. It's still very beautiful. I look at these and I think hours of knitting right before you here. Yes.
There's something special about motifs.
Yes?
I'm a judge at the Alaska State Fair in the knitting division.
Oh, you are.
This is a grand champion.
This is a grand champion. Thank you. Wow, that's great. Well, she's one of those ones that is starting her journey tomorrow. So then we have Patty Linville, and there's that Fisher Posse. Okay. And I'm going to have Nate and Michael come next, so you can just kind of come around up here, because Michael's going to have to try his on. Okay, Patty was part of our first group also in 2015, and at 2016, everywhere I looked, she was knitting. And during the time of our last FisherFolk, she completed her sweater, so that was really great.
So I had the same plan for this one.
So here she is, she's knitting away on this one. So this is her second of these frangipani, and that's in the Cordova color, right? Okay, and so for the one that she did for her husband, which is the one, this one, the new one, okay. Okay, so it has in it the tree of life, so you can see the tree of life going up, and she put in cables because she liked the texture, and the chest size, she just measured as she progressed. She's used 1 cone, took her all this way.
I have a second one.
Oh, you have the second one that she's working on there. What size needle? That was the other thing I was going to ask.
What did I say? 2s and 4s.
2s and 4s. 2s and 4s. And she said, don't leave knitting where the puppy can get it. There must be a good reason about that. Okay.
Luckily, it was easily fixed.
Okay. And she's been working on this for a year. I'm just going to real quickly ask a question. Okay. Needle size.
2s.
1s. This one was 1s and 3s.
this one is the twos and fours. Okay, you can see it really varies. You know, it's up to the knitter to get what they feel like, what the feel wants it should be. Okay, thank you very much. Good job. Okay, so I'm just going to stop for 1 second. Okay, Nate, you want to come up? Nate, where's Nate? Did he go? He's coming. Oh, he's coming? Okay, and then I'll have Francis come up again. Do you have Francis? I have the one that it says that you're working on. What's that? Oh, that was the one that you're doing, that one. Sorry. Just okay, and the one that we have of Sam. Okay, we're going to try to show that at the end. Okay. Okay, so Nathan, is he here? Okay. Last time it was an incomplete. I have another incomplete too. Hi, Nathan. Okay, Michael, let me just get this ready for you. Okay, I'm just like Patricia, I was hoping that this would be done by now. But, okay, it's got lots of things.
It's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. Hold on. I'm going to put them both together up here. Okay, so we'll bring them both. This is my son, Nate. This was a big part of my inspiration for the whole project. Keep going over here, come on. Don't be shy. Okay. So, I didn't get finished before, but I got this one done before this one at least. And a lot of this, when the wheels were turning in my head, had to do with this process of my husband retiring and my son taking on the family fishing business. And so was sort of a rite of passage, I felt like, was making him this Gansey. Oh, hello. Does it work? Yeah? That's what you got. It's got to get turned on. Hello? I can go back over here so that we don't take much more time. Anyway, I'll talk over here for now. And so just answering the same questions, I made it for Nate, and I incorporated certain things into it that told his story, and I asked him what he liked and things. So the motifs start at the bottom here with salmon bones, the fishnet, cork line, which was one I hadn't seen cork lines in any of the designs. So I thought, nets need a cork line to hold everything up. And waves, blueberry leaves for going blueberry picking on those down times. And the spruce trees, the cliffs, the mountains, and then the Eye of God, and ropes and ladders. And I called these salmon eggs, these little things here, so that get lots more fish the next year. So that's and then the hidden one for him was, he told me he really liked avocados when I was interviewing him, and I was like, how am I going to put an avocado into this thing? So what I did was under his arm, the other arm, under his arm is a little square, kind of a round thing, and that's the avocado pit in his armpit.
So is that where I should be looking?
So this is Michael, my son-in-law, and so he was next in line for the Gansey. And so it's in the Cordova color, and we sat with a watercolor picture, and I asked him what was interesting to him, and it's got some of the same motifs here. And I started it in October, and I thought I planned it out so I would have it for this fishing year, but I'm getting there. I'm getting close, and it's going to have a heart here and the Cordova one on this side. And there's some graphic work you'll see. There's some cards we made, and it has the heart on this side and the fish on that side. And so that's kind of goes into, they're just like the little touches that I put in. So almost done, but not quite yet. So that's the Widman family and Gansey. So anyway. Recently finished. Oh, and but that one is, we're still in process. You know what? I didn't get did I get your card? Okay, come up anyway. Come on up. Jenny, do you have a paper? You've got it right there. Come on up. We'll have you go first, because when did you finish yours? Just recently, too. Didn't finish. Oh, you didn't finish? Okay, let me have your paper. Sorry about that. I'm going by my papers here. Okay, we have Jenny Kelly. Did anybody go for a boat ride today with Vince and Jenny? Did you have a good time? Yeah. Okay. Oh, that one. Her first cone. It's such an exciting feeling when you get to the end of that first cone. You feel like you should celebrate. Yes, okay. Oh, yes, that's good. So she is knitting this for Vince. That's for Vince. And the moss for the rainforest, the diamonds for the facets on the water, the cables and ladders for the rigging, the tree of life and the flags. And she's almost down to her first cone. And one lesson she'd pass on, no cable needle, just pinch stitches. And then her other comment is, just start knitting and make it up as you go. But do be aware of when you have to start the gussets. I would say exactly the same thing. Anyway, so that's good. And she's 4 months to get to this point there. So, okay, so did your mom make this one, right? This is the one that was handed to me. Okay, Cece did this one, and she made it for herself. And Nellie's modeling it here for her. And it has in it flags, rigging, and anchor and chain links. That is really interesting. That's really cute. Oh, look at it, it's got a little pocket. That is so cute. And so she, this is a size 34. It's a little over a cone. So she just used a little bit over a cone to make that. That's great. What size needle? Cece? Where are you? What size needle did you use? 2.5. 2.5. Okay. Thank you. Good job. Beautiful. I love the color of that. What was the color name of that one? Do you know what that color is? That's really olive? Yeah, it's very pretty. Okay, so then her lesson was to make the welt band longer in the back. So, want to elaborate on that? I just like the look of it. Of it being a little bit longer in the back side. So the longer, it has a little bit. If you have the split wheel. Okay, so make the back one go down a little farther. That's a good comment. And it took her a year on knitting on and off. Okay, thank you so much, Cece. Okay, then now we have.
Becca doesn't.
Oh, Becca's not here?
So we might as well.
Okay,
I'm
so.
not sure if I'm in this category. So.
Okay, no, you can be here. We include
Okay.
you too. We're going to have you up there. Okay, so this was the C scale that she and Becca were going to come together, and this was done on Wednesdays. They meet together during the new knitting, and they kind of did them together. And this is a pattern that goes from Kelbarn Woolens, and it's got a lot of, it's one that's an already done pattern. It's a little bit a gauge that's more of a worsted weight gauge, DK, I think. And yes. And I like theirs, she did 3/4 sleeves, and so if somebody wants kind of a one to be able to get into it, it has all the components of a Gansey. So.
And it does have the little fish that, the only thing I did add is my fishing heart.
Yes, yay. Good job, Siwan. You can just stay with it there. Okay. Just want to get, now, does anybody else?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to, I know, I'm just getting that paper that I just had. Did I drop it? No, sorry. Hang on, 1 minute. I'm going to let you wait in suspense. Why did it? I just had it here. Go on out. You know what? I'm missing the paper that you just filled out. Okay. This is a most recently completed, like in the night hours. Did it complete last night?
3 o'clock yesterday morning.
3 o'clock yesterday morning. Okay, I'm going to let Terry talk about this because this is one that she was in the original class. So it's taken you 3 years, and she swatched and swatched and swatched and swatched and did these. But you have a lot of meaning in this that she did. And so anyway, the most recently completed Gansey. And do you want to just say about her motifs? So we'll just go through the questions. So the motifs that you incorporated.
Yeah, I did 27 swatches to come up with this, and so.
Here's the microphone.
When I took Beth's class, I learned so much, and I knew that he would want a Viking-themed sweater. And the only thing that he requested at the time was that it have Viking runes on it. And initially, he wanted, "May the force be with you." But that would have wrapped around his body several times. So I chose, and all of the Viking parts come from Viking Knits by Elsebeth Lavold, I think is how you say her last name, who's a Swedish designer. So I can't take credit for that. My biggest problem was coming up with the ridge line. I couldn't find one that worked really well with the runes coming off of it. So what I ended up doing was taking, these are called Viking rings. This cable is called Viking rings. So I knit that by itself, the circumference of the sweater, and then I picked up stitches to knit up and picked up stitches to knit down from the ridge line. The runes spell happiness, because of course that's every mother's wish for their child. This and this motif right here is the Viking symbol for happiness. And so you find that symbol on a lot of their weapons and their shields and their swords and also on the female jewelry. So that's what that represents. We have more of the rings, the Viking rings, and down the sleeve. And then this is called, what is it called? I want to call it rickrack, but that's not what it's called.
Marriage line, no.
There's a name for it in the Gansey motifs, but in the Viking motifs, it's called zigzag. And that's something they use to border around their dishware and also weapons and things like that. And then my filler was this right here, and I had a hard time, and I swatched and swatched and swatched trying to come up with that filler. And then I went back to what's familiar to me as my color and pattern knitting, and I took a color chart and just made it into a knit purl chart. And I like the effect because it looks like male wear that they would wear. And in Viking tradition, not all Vikings wore mail, chain mail. The only ones who did were the most valuable. So I chose that.
What needle size?
Size 1 needles. I also steeked. I steeked the armholes and I steeked the neckband. And then cut those later and then did the sleeves. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
What would be your lesson you would pass on?
If you're taking the Gansey class from Beth, you are going to be well prepared. You don't need to be worried about it. So I say approach your Gansey and be fearless.
Okay.
Fearless knitting.
Okay, I'd love to have a picture of the, Matthew, can you get? Yes, come up, yes, sorry about that, I didn't write a thing on yours. It's okay, come on up. This was one that Gail just whipped out. Yes, this is one she whipped out for her daughter Hannah, but it's on my daughter Nellie. And so, go get with the boys. This is Michael's wife, my daughter Nellie. And go right here first. So, Gail, do you want to tell me anything that the pattern that you got this? What's really interesting about this, so I'm going to just say something interesting. The number of people that come in and try this on, all these different people try it on, and it fits perfectly. And they go, okay, this is perfect. Either they want to take it and just have it because it fits perfectly.
Feels so good.
Yeah. Or they say, okay, great, I'm just going to take the measurements right off of this and I'm not going to worry about, So it's been very interesting. There's been several people that are getting ready to knit Ganseys that have used this because they put it on and it goes, this is just how I want mine to fit. So usually you want to find a sweater that fits how you want it to fit. And it's been very interesting. So thank you, Gail, for letting us use your sweater. We've had it in the shop now for about a year, and so it's been really great. So any lesson that you have from knitting this? Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody. Let's give them a... Now, there's some that want to stay and be willing to answer a little bit of time of asking questions from people as a closing. And then I have some photographs to show you of some ones, real quick, of some ones that didn't make it. So if anybody's willing to talk about their ganseys that they made, with any questions? Yeah, okay. Just go sit down in that front section. So does anybody have any questions after watching all of this and seeing all of them and about Gansey construction or doing ganseys? We have some, and so if there's not questions, what we could do is I can show these pictures that I have, and then, oh, thank you, Nathan. Oh.
Love you.
Love you. So what we may just do, I'm thinking, I'll show the pictures, and so we need Mimi to put down I'm just trying to think a second. What we might do instead, because I don't know if Mimi's there, what we may do instead is what we can do is go out into the lobby, and we can take and have, oh, she's going to come, there it comes. Okay, we're going to just show a few pictures, because some people sent me some pictures that I wanted to just show. It's not very many, so, and then you can go out in the lobby and with your sweater. So if you have a sweater on that you can stay for people to look at, Nate, do you want to just leave your sweater here oh, you're going to get cold. So anybody that's willing to will be in the lobby that can answer questions about your particular Gansey, and it's really nice to get a close look at them. Okay? So thank you, everybody, and all that great knitting. Okay. So I think I just have to plug this in. Matthew, I might need you. Oh, it's plugged in, so should. What do I do to make it start here? Sorry. There's some Ganseys that didn't make it here, but that were made. We're just going to show a few of them so you can see.
Yeah, I didn't really get to do it.
Okay, so we just put it on. Okay.
You can try going through this one.
Yeah, I think she needed that.
Does yours have Thunderbolt?
I don't know. I think so. Feel it? Okay, there we go.
Works, I don't know.
Okay, did it come up? How do I get to that picture? Will it come? Is it just thinking right now?
Yeah, I should have done this before.
It might not work.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not.
Okay. Oh, there's that. No. Okay, it might not work. Okay. You know what I'm going to do is I'll have it on my screen out there, and if anybody wants to see, I have a picture of George's Gansey that was done by Valerie. That's beautiful. Oh, wait, is it coming now? No? No? Oh, well, sorry about that. And then we have just a round of some pictures. We have Sam, the one that Frances did for her grandson Sam, and we've got a few other ones. So if you want to see some of the other Ganseys that were made and you can stroll around and look at some of the Ganseys that we just showed. Oh, I don't know. So we'll do that afterwards. So, So let's see. Let's see if I can go like this. There's Sam. Okay. That's what's interesting about this is that Francis added all these things that are a little bit different for a Gansey. I think that in the last show, he has a front pocket on it, like a sweatshirt pocket, and a hood. So those were some things she added to make it special. And it was, and the boats that he had worked on are incorporated in pattern on them. So that was Francis. And the thumb hole thing, that's right. So when he put his rain gear on, that it would, he could keep it from going up. Patricia, did she leave? She just left. Okay. This is Gus, and this is a sweater she had done for him. And this is George Koval, and this is Val's Gansey that she knit for him, and it was beautiful. And she did a tapered sleeve so it would fit into his gloves. And I think I have to go back up to here a minute. Let's see. There's a few more. Okay, so the sweater that this is just a picture of Ann Rudolph that didn't make it. Her sister Susan was here, and there she is with her Fisher lassie. Some might remember her from the last Fiber and Friends. And then we have Val, and that was the Gansey that she made for Rita. And then we have Jane and the Gansey that she made for James, and it's off with James now, and a Fisher lassie that she just wore now on Elena. And then another picture of George. And this is the one that you could have seen on Vince the other night. He was wearing this. Really nice. What yarn is that? Oh, that's little wool. It's the 12 ply? Wow. That's neat. Okay, and then this is a works in progress by someone that is one of our followers in the Facebook group that is out of our region. I think she might be in Colorado. So some of these people sent me some pictures. This is a woman that she just had finished this for her boyfriend. It's her first sweater. And she's the one that said, this is my knitting thesis. And she sent me this picture, and I think it got posted in the Instagram. And through Instagram and Facebook, it's been really interesting to see people connecting. And then this is Michael in progress. And this is Haley in a Gansey that we kind of call the Cordova Gansey. A lot of people have made this Silver Creek pattern. It's a knit flat pattern, but a lot of us turned it into circular, made with our little wool company, the Fisherman Yarn. And Krista made this one here. And this part, now see, so this was I think this is the Cordova hat, and we included some hats into the project, as well as some wristers, and people could get little tags for their hats. The Alexa designed for us a couple things, Tin Can Knits, who's here. Where's Alexa? There she is right there. And so she generously has designed some things. The bowline hat that you see in the shop, that a lot of people in Cordova has made that hat. You get a little tag, Cordova Gansey tag for that. And for anyone interested, on Monday night, Alexa's going to be on the trip, the boat trip. If anybody wants to go out, she'll be our guest of, kind of guest instructor, the star of that night there. So, and then this is Nathan in working on the boat and just seeing it out there working, which is what they're all about. And this is Denise's husband here, Tom. That's him wearing it, and all by his crab nets, shrimp pots. Anyway, there he is, and he's got it on, and it's really great to see these guys wearing them. And his Copper River fleece hat, yay. And this is showing how I was surprised when I put the two together next to each other, how much more Frances had to knit, and I still couldn't keep up with her. You know, it's like there's a whole nother sweater that she had to knit, you know. His arms, look how long his arms are, and like the whole, from his shoulders up, it's just a lot more knitting. And there he is with it on there, and I wish you saw that. Okay? And so those are just some extra little ones of people that sent in to us. And so I want to thank you for coming, and for anybody that's getting started on the Gansey track, I just wish you well. And one of the things that I read to one of the classes this morning, it just seems like for me it has to do with everything. Whether it's putting on this event, whether it has to be starting something that looks really difficult and challenging. I read it last night because sometimes I go up and down with how I feel about what I do, but it says, no matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying. And so I close with those thoughts, and we'll see you tomorrow. So the potluck, so if you're in classes and things, and we'll have, I have to put the potluck list out. If you need a ride, we'll have a spot for you that we can, you can list where that you'll need a ride tomorrow. And the potluck will be in the evening. And I'm hoping also, I'm just really hoping for good weather, and that we could maybe even do an impromptu show and tell kind of little fashion show. So if there's something that you've knit, there's a little bank there of grass, and we'll sit there and make a little theater and just stroll with your hand knit. And so if there's something you want to show that you've made recently, we'd love to see, and it's always great to be inspired and to also applaud you for your knits. So thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.